Greetings, everyone. Today we will delve into the Pre-Raphaelite movement in English literature, exploring its distinctive characteristics, notable writers, and their significant works. The Pre-Raphaelite movement in English literature was a significant cultural phenomenon of the Victorian era, characterized by a rebellion against the prevailing artistic norms and a quest for authenticity and sincerity. Emerging in the mid-19th century, the movement was closely associated with the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood (PRB), a group of artists and writers who sought to reform Victorian art and literature. Key characteristics. The Pre-Raphaelite movement in English literature was characterized by several distinct characteristics that set it apart from the prevailing literary trends of the Victorian era. These characteristics include: 1. Medievalism. The Pre-Raphaelites were deeply influenced by medieval literature, art, and culture. They sought inspiration from the poetry, legends, and romances of the Middle Ages, often incorporating medieval themes, settings, and imagery into their works. This fascination with the medieval period was a key aspect of the movement's aesthetic and thematic concerns. 2. Realism and naturalism. Central to Pre-Raphaelite literature was a commitment to realism and naturalism. Rejecting the artificiality and sentimentality of much Victorian literature, the Pre-Raphaelites aimed to capture the truthfulness and authenticity of human experience. Their poetry often featured detailed descriptions of nature, everyday life, and the human psyche, reflecting a desire to portray reality with honesty and precision. 3. Symbolism and allegory. The Pre-Raphaelites frequently employed symbolism and allegory in their poetry to convey complex emotional and spiritual themes. Their works were filled with symbolic imagery, metaphorical language, and allegorical narratives, inviting readers to explore deeper layers of meaning beneath the surface of the text. Symbolism allowed the Pre-Raphaelites to address profound philosophical and existential questions in their poetry, often with a sense of mystery and ambiguity. 4. Sensuality and emotion. Pre-Raphaelite poetry was characterized by its intense emotionalism and sensuality. The poets of the movement sought to evoke strong emotional responses in their readers, employing vivid imagery, passionate language, and evocative themes of love, desire, and longing. Their works often explored the depths of human emotion, from ecstatic joy to profound despair, with a heightened sense of intensity and immediacy. 5. Individualism and nonconformity. The Pre-Raphaelites were individualistic and nonconformist in their approach to literature. They rebelled against the conventional literary norms of their time, challenging the prevailing aesthetic and moral values of Victorian society. Their poetry often celebrated the freedom of artistic expression and the autonomy of the creative imagination, rejecting the constraints of tradition and convention in favor of personal vision and innovation. 6. Interdisciplinary influence. The Pre-Raphaelite movement blurred the boundaries between art and literature, with poets collaborating closely with painters and other artists. Many Pre-Raphaelite poems were inspired by visual art, while paintings and illustrations often drew upon literary themes and motifs. This interdisciplinary influence enriched the creative output of the movement and contributed to its distinctive aesthetic and cultural impact. The characteristics of Pre-Raphaelite literature reflect a desire to challenge, innovate, and transcend the limitations of traditional literary forms and conventions. Through their commitment to realism, symbolism, and individual expression, the Pre-Raphaelites forged a new path in English literature, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to inspire readers and writers to this day. Key figures. The Pre-Raphaelite movement in English literature was shaped by several key figures, each of whom made significant contributions to the movement's aesthetic, thematic, and cultural development. These figures, who were poets, painters, and thinkers, played a central role in challenging the conventions of Victorian art and literature and reshaping the artistic landscape of their time. 1. Dante Gabriel Rossetti, 1828–1882. Rossetti was one of the founding members of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood and one of its most prominent figures. He was both a poet and a painter, and his work epitomized the movement's fusion of literature and art. Important works. The Blessed Damozel, 1850, a melancholic and haunting poem that explores themes of love, death, and the afterlife. It is considered one of Rossetti's finest poetic achievements. Goblin Market, 1862, Rossetti's most famous poem. Goblin Market is a narrative poem that tells the story of two sisters tempted by goblin men selling enchanted fruits. The poem explores themes of temptation, redemption, and sisterhood, and is celebrated for its rich imagery and allegorical depth. The House of Life, 1881, a sequence of sonnets exploring the themes of love, desire, and mortality. It is considered one of Rossetti's most ambitious poetic projects, showcasing his mastery of the sonnet form and his preoccupation with the complexities of human emotion. 2. Christina Rossetti, 1830–1894. Christina Rossetti was the sister of Dante Gabriel Rossetti and a celebrated poet in her own right. Her poetry often explored themes of faith, love, and redemption, and she was known for her introspective and deeply spiritual verse. Important works. Goblin Market, 1862. While also written by Dante Gabriel Rossetti, Christina Rossetti's contribution to Goblin Market is significant. Her verses in the poem exhibit a lyrical quality and a keen sensitivity to themes of temptation and salvation. The Prince's Progress and Other Poems, 1866. This collection of poems includes some of Christina Rossetti's most beloved works, such as In the Bleak Midwinter and A Birthday. These poems explore themes of love, faith, and the passage of time with a blend of simplicity and profundity. The Goblin Market and Other Poems, 1862. Christina Rossetti's first major collection of poetry, which includes Goblin Market and Other Poems exploring similar themes of temptation, desire, and sacrifice. 3. Algernon Charles Swinburne, 1837–1909. Swinburne was a close associate of the Pre-Raphaelites and a prolific poet known for his passionate and sensual verse. His work often explored themes of love, beauty, and decadence, and he was admired for his lyrical intensity and musicality. Important works. Poems and Ballads, 1866. Swinburne's most controversial work, Poems and Ballads, includes poems such as the Garden of Proserpine, Hymn to Proserpine Hin Dolores, Notre Dame de Sept Douleurs. These poems celebrate sensuality, pleasure, and the darker aspects of human experience, challenging Victorian moral sensibilities. Atalanta in Calydon, 1865, a dramatic poem inspired by Greek mythology. Atalanta in Calydon explores themes of fate, desire, and the nature of humanity. It is celebrated for its vivid imagery, lyrical beauty, and tragic intensity. Songs Before Sunrise, 1871, a collection of political and revolutionary poems inspired by Swinburne's support for the Italian unification movement and his opposition to British imperialism. These poems celebrate freedom, justice, and the power of the human spirit to overcome oppression. 4. William Morris, 1834–1896. While primarily known as a designer and craftsman, Morris was also a poet and writer who played a significant role in the Pre-Raphaelite movement. His poetry, like his other artistic endeavors, reflected his commitment to beauty, craftsmanship, and social reform. Important works. The Earthly Paradise, 186870, a collection of narrative poems inspired by classical and medieval mythology. The Earthly Paradise consists of a series of tales told by a group of medieval wanderers. The poems explore themes of love, loss, and the quest for meaning, and are celebrated for their rich imagery and narrative depth. The Defense of Guinevere, 1858, one of Morris's earliest poetic works. The Defense of Guinevere is a narrative poem that retells the Arthurian legend from the perspective of Guinevere, King Arthur's queen. The poem explores themes of love, betrayal, and female agency, and is admired for its lyrical beauty and psychological insight. The House of the Wolfings, 1889, an epic poem inspired by Norse mythology and Anglo-Saxon history. The House of the Wolfings tells the story of a Germanic tribe's struggle against Roman invaders. The poem is celebrated for its vivid descriptions, heroic themes, and evocative language. These key figures of the Pre-Raphaelite movement, through their poetry and prose, helped to redefine the literary landscape of the Victorian era and establish a new artistic paradigm that continues to resonate with readers today. Their works remain influential and celebrated for their beauty, originality, and emotional depth. The Pre-Raphaelite movement had a profound impact on English literature, influencing subsequent generations of writers and artists. Its emphasis on realism, symbolism, and individual expression paved the way for modernist literature and the broader cultural movements of the 20th century. Despite its initial controversy, the Pre-Raphaelite movement remains a defining moment in the history of English literature, celebrated for its innovation, creativity, and enduring influence.